Hello, and welcome back to a very sweaty episode of Chronically Joyful. Excuse me. I just returned, in the name of authenticity here, from a 4.5-mile run in 92-degree weather. I know, I'm insane. But the reason for said run, because I did hit the gym this morning, and this is the second time I've actually done this week. I swear to God, I'm not an exerciseaholic, although I feel great, albeit incredibly overheated at the moment and out of breath. I choose cardio when I have heavy energy within myself that I know I really need to work through. So in the last 24 hours, just a lot of shit has hit the fan that I wasn't expecting. Like, my work days exploded unexpectedly. A family member of mine I found out way after the fact was in the hospital, who I really care about. And that one took me a couple hours to process. Like, I read it and I was like, oh man, that's terrible. And then hours later, like, it really bothered me. And I was still holding on to that. And then I was triggered for the first time in a really long time. Multiple times, actually, in the same day, where I just felt really awful. And I realized after the fact why and where that was coming from. But I needed to run on it in order to figure that out. And running, albeit I'm slow, I call it jogging. Like, I ran 4.5 miles in exactly an hour. It's not fast. But I'm feeling more confident at the thought of actually doing the Richmond Marathon 8K. It's an 8K this year. It's usually a 10K. And I'm like, I think I can actually run an 8K and not die. So we'll see if I add that to my list of crazy intentions in 2026. But my runs I treat almost like meditation. And it's never intentional that way. I'm never like, I need to meditate on this. Let me go for a run. It's like, no. I'm feeling really pissed off and really hurt and sad and less than, and I need to go running because I know when I come back, I will feel better. Puddles is squeaking in the background because she agrees. And this achieved exactly that, where I feel so much better and I feel more grounded again in my own space and energy and mental self, where it's not subjected to anyone else, because the gist of this video is just knowing that nothing anyone else around you does should ever impact your mental health. I really need to wipe my face. One moment. Thank God for work from home days where I don't have super heavy, important, like, high-level meetings, so I don't have to wear makeup, and I can be red and sweaty and disgusting right now, and the shirt is a different hue than when it started. And also, it's the pollinating, so I'm just, like, coughing up yellow, and it's disgusting. I am disgusting right now. But I'm happy while I'm disgusting. And I had a conversation, actually, with my manager again, because we're super tight, and she grounds me also, and will just call me out on my crap. Shout out to you, Kim, if you ever watch these. Please don't. But completely irrelevant topic, but she was telling me that before she walked in the door, she had to level set her own expectations of her family and just be like, and she walked in and it was exactly as she expected it to be, but she didn't react to it because she had that grounding moment. And it was that conversation actually that helped me round out how I was feeling and just recognize that the only reason that I was triggered in the first place is because I had this grandiose idea in my mind of like how my day was going to go. And I was just like, it's going to be great. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's got to be perfect. And life never goes that way, you know? And at the end of the day, the only reason that I was so triggered was just because I had internal unspoken expectations of other people who in turn let me down and disappointed me. But it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they let me down. They had no idea that I had these expectations in the first place until like way later when my attitude was completely different. And that's not their fault. That's on me. And my inability not to recognize that sooner, to bounce back, you know, where like I felt better later in the day yesterday, but I still felt weird this morning and I was just like not quite myself. I was not quite right. And slowly through the day, things happened that just like also those expectations didn't matter at the end of the day because other better things happened. So it's just like moot. And on this run, and I apologize for being out of breath. I was going to do this after my shower, but this was fresh in my mind. And I felt like it was important to come on here red-faced, authentic, and limping to talk about this. I need to blow my nose. Oh my God, seriously, someone send help to the South. I'm switching up my allergy meds. I'm doing everything I can, but it's just like that constant like twitch in your nose, and I'm hacking up a lung, and I'm not sick, and I just feel like garbage. But I am back in my own happy state of being, as I said earlier, and it's because I moved the energy, and I've talked about this ad nauseum so many times across my Instagram, my blog, this channel, all of the things, where when you're feeling a certain type of way that is outside of your happy little mental garden, or vortex, I think it called it in the last one while I was cooking, your happy place in your mind. When you're outside of that, it's up to you to find a way to come back to that equilibrium happy state. And I spent, I'm going to say like 12 hours just like stewing and feeling really down on myself, and my fear of abandonment wounds were triggered, and all of my insecurities were triggered, where it was just like, oh, well, this just happened because I'm not good enough to have people's attention, and people would rather do other things than spend time in a meeting with me in person. It was literally the silliest thing on the planet that I was like, meh, woe is me. And it's just, I do want to take a moment to recognize and express that I'm proud of myself, because if y'all sat here on this channel with me even a year ago or 2 years ago, it wouldn't take me this fast to get here and be like, oh God, that was not my best. Oh my God, let's make it better. It would take me a couple of days to like a whole week before I was finally like back to normal. And then something would spiral me out and send me right back down the rabbit hole like that. Like it was constant. It was exhausting. Puddles is destroying things in another room. We'll check that out at the end of this. And it would just take so long. And that's what put me at the bottom of my depressed well, that I lived there for years, y'all. Years I lived there. And it's like being here right now in the light and taking a second to recognize how fast I bounce back now, even if it's a day. That's the longest actually it's taken me in a long time. So like, hug to myself. It's okay. You're fine. It's good. We all make mistakes. I did take my own advice, and I did let myself feel the feelings. I need to wipe my face again. There's so much sweat in my eyeballs, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm literally dying, I think. I'm not going to make it. But just recognizing how much faster I can sit in it, feel awful, feel angry, and then just turn it around and be like, oh, no, actually, this is a reflection on me. It has nothing to do with anyone else. And I firmly believe that. I believe every bad feeling within us comes from us and our perception. We are the only ones that give anything any meaning. So, thinking of a specific example. Going like yesterday in general, this happened to me 3 different occasions where it's like I prioritized going into the physical office to have meetings face to face with multiple teams. That interaction is important to me. That is one of my standards. That doesn't mean it's the same for everybody else. And it's important that I came to that realization and I recognized it, because what it became when it was just me in a room having these meetings with everybody else virtually, just like we are right now, I was so grumpy. I was just like, I prioritized coming in. Why doesn't anybody else respect me enough to want to be in my presence? Who does she think she is? And I was so grumpy about it, but it's just like, people are going to do what they're going to do. Let them do what's best for them. Like my walk and my stroll and ponder, let them do what they're going to do, and don't let it affect you. Even if they make mistakes, it's okay. We're just human. And it's just like, be on this side, hindsight 2020. It's the silliest thing in the world that I was like, it spiraled me out, because it's like, that was the trigger. And then I thought about all of the different people that were there, and I was just like, this person hates me. This person doesn't respect me. This person never liked me, and they led me on to think that they liked me over the last year, and blah, 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 blah. And it was ridiculous over the smallest thing, where none of those negative assumptions were true at all. I know that. I was just having a little pity party over here, being like, nobody wanted to come into the office, and I did, and I didn't actually want to. And it's just so small in the grand scheme of things. And it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And also, for anybody, bringing it back to the first trigger of the day, my aunt is okay. She's fine. I called her. She's fine. But everything turned out fine. And then leading into today, everything turned out better than expected. None of it mattered. So why did I spend a beautiful 24 hours feeling off? It didn't ruin my day. Like, I didn't stop like playing with Puddles, or like reading my book and cooking dinner and doing all the things that I love to do and still being a derp over here. Like, it didn't ruin my day like that. It just like, I had a pit in my stomach all day where it was just like, man, drats. Where this is the beauty of like my runs, is that as I'm running, and I'm just like zoned out completely. I'm always watching the ground, because the amount of times that I have fallen on asphalt or sidewalk and have bled everywhere in front of a lot of people in public, embarrassing amount. So I'm always looking at the ground, but at the same time, like, my head is just zoning out. And the running route that I actually run is really interesting to me. There's sidewalks, so it's safe, but there's a lot of traffic. And I just read the license plates. I see some really interesting license plates. I see a lot of really interesting stuff in general, actually. That's not even encompassing it. My goal today is that there's a road here, this direction, out my window, that I found out like leads around to my standard running route. And I tried to find it today, but I went the wrong way. And it just, if I went down that road, it would have added an extra like 3 miles. And I was not doing that in 90 degrees today. It's also 6:35 p.m. at the moment, so it's like, I have other things I need to do tonight. But all of this to say that it is our mental space that projects everything we see. We only experience our consciousness in this earthly realm. I'm not experiencing what my neighbor's experiencing. I'm not experiencing what my mom's experiencing. I'm not experiencing what my best friend is experiencing. We are all snowflakes. I say this all the time. Chronic illness or not, every human is experiencing a different level of consciousness, and they are seeing the same thing you are, but from a very different perspective. And it's really important to recognize and respect that. Because what yesterday would have turned into, if I actually voiced all these psycho thoughts in my head, was that I was trying to control outcomes. I was trying to control the actions and behaviors of those around me to achieve a certain outcome. And in this phase of my life, I'm not interested in doing that. And that's why I felt so bad inside, was because I fell out of alignment with what I'm trying to do. So, all of this to say, when you're feeling really down and out of it because somebody did something that you didn't like, sit with that and think about it hard. I journaled in 3 different journals, actually, because it kept coming to me at weird times when I got home. So I actually have them around me right now, which is really funny. But it's important that you just kind of sit with it and you're like, okay, this person did this and it made me feel this way. Why? What did this bring out in me? And in doing this, that's how I recognized, like, My fear of abandonment or not being chosen came out when it was like, no one wanted to prioritize me today, so I guess I suck. And it's like my insecurities came out where it's like, well, I guess they don't like me that much, even though it's not true. It is simply not true. So don't spiral out and fall down the rabbit hole of sadness and other negative emotions, and bring it back into your mental garden vortex of happy, happy, joy, joy, and remain in equilibrium. And just, I like to call it going into observer mode, where when I'm feeling really emotional about a certain situation, I kind of take a step back mentally and I'm like, I'm just going to observe. And I'm not going to react. I'm turning my brain off. I will only speak if spoken to. And then I just kind of like, I'm going to call it sponge out. And I just listen and I take in what's happening around me. And then instead of reacting, I'm just kind of like, I get curious. So instead, like if somebody's complaining to me at work, for example, and they're just like really going, and I just sit there and I kind of like, I don't check out. I just go into observer mode and I just give them my full attention. I active listen. And I'm learning to do this. I am not perfect by any means, where I'm trying not to solution. I'm not trying to solve the problems anymore. I'm trying to get curious. So instead of them being like, and this is what they did and it really upset me, instead of me being like, well, you could do this to solve that. Now I'm trying my best, and I'm not very good at it because this is a new practice for me. I'm trying to better be present, I guess. That was a really janky way of saying that, but I'm trying to be more present and curious. So this person did this to me and it really upset me, instead of problem solving for them, because I'm not them. It's up to them to figure out the best way to do this. If they want my advice, of course, I'll give it. I am a people leader. I'm happy to do that. But people are autonomous and people are brilliant. So now instead of just being like, well, you should do this, I'm more like, what do you think that meant? What would you do to solve that? Like, I just start asking questions, or why do you think that made you feel that way? What can we do? Instead of trying to solve all of the world's problems at once, like I want a more collaborative in this sense, where like I don't want to control anybody's actions. I don't want to tell anyone what to do. I just want to love people unconditionally and help them be the best versions of themselves in whatever way that looks like. And do my best not to project my unknown mental expectations on other people and then feel really bad when they're not met, and then not realize why I feel bad. And it's like, well, this person disappointed me. No, they didn't. They were just living their lives and they just made choices that were best for them. And it's how I interpreted those choices. So all of this to say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Oh my God, please don't sue me if that's patented or copyrighted. I'm so sweaty. I'm going to leave all of you lovely little chickadees now, and I'm going to go shower and do laundry because I've done this twice this week and I'm running out of gym clothes and I want to go in the morning because I didn't go earlier this week and now I'm just whining. Thank you for being here. The light in me sees the light in you, even if it's sweaty. I love you all so much. Have the best Sunday fun day. Yeah! All right, let's take bets. Where is she? Oh, I would have lost this bet. I will take this moment because it is a momentous occasion. We retired her big crate last night. She's a free woman. You're growing up. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being you, Puddles. We love you. You're the highlight of these videos.